Encounter 1. It answers if you use your name. I was hired as a temporary caretaker for a closed wildlife research station in the Ozarks, the kind of job that exists because the building can't be abandoned outright. Equipment still inside, permits still active, land still technically monitored. The station sat a mile off the nearest gravel road, surrounded by dense hardwood forest and long, uneven slopes that made sound travel strangely. During the day, it felt ordinary. Quiet, but not unsettling. At night, it felt attentive. The contract was simple. Stay on site for 3 weeks. Keep generators running. Log any trespass. Report structural issues. No public access was allowed, but hikers occasionally wandered too close. On my first evening, the regional coordinator, a man named Steve, walked me through the property. When we reached the edge of the tree line behind the main building, he stopped. "One thing," he said. "After dark, don't use your name outside." I waited for the rest of the explanation. It didn't come. "Radio calls included?" I asked. "Especially radio calls," he said. "Use your ID number or don't answer." That was clear enough to follow, even if it was odd. "Why?" I asked. Steve shrugged. "Because it answers faster than we do." That wasn't a joke. His tone didn't shift at all. I nodded and made a note. The first few nights passed quietly. I ran the generator checks, logged temperatures, and sat through long stretches of silence broken only by wind and distant animal movement. I kept to the rules. After sunset, I didn't speak outside unless necessary. If I had to, I used neutral phrases. Maintenance complete. Area clear. Nothing happened. On the 5th night, around 11:40 p.m., I heard someone call out from the trees. My name, spoken clearly, calmly, not shouted. I froze immediately. The voice came from the direction of the service trail just beyond where the floodlights ended. "Hey," it said, "can you help me?" I didn't answer. I didn't move. I waited. After a few seconds, the voice spoke again. It used my name again. Same tone, same cadence. I stayed silent. The voice sighed softly. "Okay," it said. "I'll wait." Footsteps moved deeper into the woods. I logged the incident. Noted the time. Used neutral language. The rest of the night passed without issue. The next morning, I radioed Steve. "Someone was on the property last night," I said. "Called out to me." He didn't sound surprised. "Did you answer?" he asked. "No." "Good," he said. Then it didn't get closer. I hesitated. "What exactly is it?" Another pause. "Something that hears names," he said, "and treats them like invitations." That explanation was enough to be unsettling without being vague. The next few nights were quiet again. I began to relax, just slightly. Familiarity breeds complacency if you let it. On the 9th night, the voice returned. This time it was closer, right at the edge of the floodlights. "You're still here," it said. It didn't use my name. That was worse. I stood in the doorway, heart pounding, keeping the light between us. "You don't talk much," the voice continued. "Most people do." I didn't respond. "They say their name," it said casually, "or they answer when I say it." I tightened my grip on the doorframe. The voice laughed softly. "You're careful," it said. "I like that." I felt my stomach drop. Liking wasn't good. The voice stepped forward. Something moved at the edge of the light. Not fully into it, not fully out. A shape too tall to be human. Limbs placed wrong. Posture slightly off, like it had learned how to stand by watching from a distance. It stopped just short of the light. "You don't have to invite me," it said. "Sometimes people slip." The generator hummed steadily behind me. The building felt solid, enclosed. I backed inside and locked the door. The voice didn't follow. It stayed where it was, waiting. The next morning, Steve arrived unannounced. "It stood at the light, didn't it?" he said. I nodded. "That's new," he said quietly. "New how?" I asked. "Usually it stops farther back," he said. "It learns." That night I doubled my caution. I didn't step outside after dark, didn't speak unless absolutely necessary, kept all communication inside the building. At 2:13 a.m., my radio crackled. My own voice came through. "Hello? This is me. Can you hear me?" I stared at the radio. My ID number flashed on the display. The voice repeated itself, perfectly mimicking my tone, my pacing. "It's okay," it said. "I already know my name." My pulse spiked. The radio was inside. The building was locked. "You can answer," the voice continued. "You don't have to say anything else." That was the trick. It didn't need my name anymore. It had learned it. I shut the radio off completely. The generator stuttered once, then stabilized. Outside, something scraped slowly against the wall, not aggressively, exploratory, like fingers learning a surface. I didn't sleep at all. On the 14th night, the voice stopped pretending. It didn't call, it didn't mimic. It spoke from everywhere at once. "You haven't invited me," it said, "but you keep listening." I stayed silent. "Listening counts," it said. The lights flickered. I felt a pressure behind my eyes, sharp and insistent, like something trying to pull a response out of me. "People think names are ownership," it said. "They aren't. They're permission." I pressed my palms to my ears. The pressure increased. "You're tired," it said gently. "You'll slip." I thought about Steve, about how calmly he'd said it learns, about how I'd been careful for 2 weeks. I realized then that the danger wasn't panic. It was exhaustion. I forced myself to stand, to move, to stay present. I wrote notes by hand. I counted breaths. I didn't let my mind drift. Just before dawn, the pressure eased. The voice spoke one last time. "Next time," it said, almost kindly. Then it was gone. Steve ended my contract early. "It's closer than it used to be," he said. "That happens when someone almost slips." "Almost?" I asked. He met my eyes. "You listened too long." I left that morning. Weeks later, at home, I woke up one night to hear my name spoken softly from the hallway. I didn't answer. I didn't even turn my head. The voice sighed. "You're still careful," it said, and then it stepped back into the dark. Encounter 2. It knows when you hesitate. I took a temporary job as a night dispatcher for a private towing company that covered a stretch of rural highway cutting through the foothills. The pay was decent, the hours were bad, and the work was mostly uneventful. Drunk drivers, breakdowns, the occasional deer strike. The office was a converted trailer parked behind a locked yard. 2 desks, radios, a bank of cameras covering the lot and the first mile of road in either direction. Nothing fancy. On my first night, the owner, a man named Rick, gave me a quick rundown. "Calls come in through the main line," he said. "Drivers check in on Channel 3. Everything else is noise." "Everything?" I asked. He hesitated. "If you hear someone say your name over the radio," he said, "don't answer right away." That phrasing caught my attention. "Why not?" I asked. Because drivers use call signs, he said. And because if they don't, something's off. That made sense. I nodded and wrote it down. One more thing, he added. Don't say your name out loud in here at night. Not to yourself, not on the phone. Just don't. He didn't smile, didn't dramatize it. That bothered me more than if he had. The first few nights were quiet. I logged calls, dispatched trucks, listened to the soft crackle of the radio and the distant sound of traffic moving through darkness. The trailer felt safe, enclosed, predictable. On the fourth night at 1:17 a.m., a call came in on Channel 3. No call sign, just breathing. Slow, deliberate, close to the microphone. I didn't respond. I watched the indicator light, waited. After a few seconds, the breathing stopped. Then a voice spoke. "Sorry," it said. "Wrong channel." The voice sounded calm, male, familiar in a way I couldn't place. I logged it as interference. 10 minutes later, one of the drivers checked in normally. Nothing else happened. On the fifth night, the call came again. Same channel, same breathing. This time, the voice spoke sooner. "Can you hear me?" it asked. I didn't answer. The voice sighed softly. "Okay," it said. "I'll wait." The indicator light stayed on for almost a full minute. Then it clicked off. My skin prickled. I checked the call logs. No incoming number. No routing data. I noted the time. Forced myself to stay focused. At 2:03 a.m., my desk phone rang. I answered with the company greeting. Silence. Then my name. Spoken carefully, like the speaker was making sure they had it right. I hung up immediately. My heart was pounding now, but my thoughts stayed clear. Rick's instructions replayed in my head. Don't answer. Don't say it. The phone rang again. I let it ring. The third time, the caller spoke before I could pick up. "I know you're there," the voice said through the line. "You're always there." I unplugged the phone. The radio crackled softly. "You didn't answer," the voice said. That was good. The sound of it made my stomach twist. It wasn't angry. It sounded approving. The next night, I paid closer attention to my own behavior. How often I spoke aloud. How often I muttered to myself without thinking. It was harder than I expected. Around 1:40 a.m., a driver called in, voice tense. "Dispatch," he said. "There's someone standing on the shoulder near mile marker 12. "Describe them," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Can't," he replied. "They're just standing, not flagging me down, not moving." "Stay in your truck," I said. "I'll send backup." The radio crackled. Another voice cut in. Same calm tone as before. "You don't need to send anyone." I felt a chill run through me. The driver's voice came back, strained. "Dispatch, who is that?" I didn't answer him. "Keep driving," I said. "Don't slow down." "They said your name," the driver whispered. My grip tightened on the desk. "Do not stop," I said. The driver hesitated. That hesitation was all it needed. The radio filled with static, then silence. I waited, counted breaths, forced myself not to speak. After 30 seconds, the driver checked back in. "I'm past them," he said. "They didn't move." "Good," I replied. The other voice didn't return. I logged everything, hands shaking now. Rick came in early the next morning. I told him what happened. He listened without interrupting. It's closer to the road than it used to be, he said quietly. What is it? I asked. He rubbed his face. Something that listens for invitations. Names? I asked. Names, he confirmed, and pauses. It's not just what you say. It's when you almost say it. That stayed with me. On the 7th night, it tried something different. The call came in on the main line. Caller ID showed a local number. I answered. A woman's voice spoke. Hi, she said. I think my car broke down. Her voice sounded normal. Frightened. Real. What's your location? I asked. She paused. Then she said my name. Not loudly, not deliberately. Like it slipped out. The pressure hit instantly, sharp and focused, like a hand closing around my chest. I slammed the phone down, the radio activated on its own. You almost answered, the calm voice said. That was close. I stood up, backing away from the desk. You're getting tired, it continued. That's when people make mistakes. What do you want? I asked before I could stop myself. The pressure increased. Permission, it said, to stand where you stand. The cameras flickered. For a moment, one of the exterior feeds showed the inside of the trailer, empty, from an angle that didn't exist. I shut my eyes and counted backward, grounded myself. You can't come in, I said. I didn't invite you. Another pause. Not yet, it said. The word yet sat heavy in the air. On the 9th night, I started making changes. I wrote notes instead of speaking, used gestures when drivers came in briefly, kept my mouth busy with water so I wouldn't speak without thinking. Exhaustion made everything harder. Around 3 a.m., the radio came alive. My own voice came through. Dispatch, it's me, it said. I forgot my call sign. The cadence was perfect. My heart raced. The voice continued. Can you just say my name so I know you hear me? I stared at the radio. This was the twist. It didn't need my name anymore. It needed me to confirm it. I shut off the radio completely. The lights flickered. The pressure spiked, painful now. The calm voice returned. Louder. That's inefficient, it said. You're creating gaps. Find someone else, I whispered. The pressure eased slightly. We will, it said. Eventually. The trailer creaked softly, like someone shifting weight outside. I stayed silent until dawn. Rick ended my contract the next day. It tried to shortcut you, he said. That means you lasted longer than most. What happens to the ones who don't? I asked. He didn't answer. Weeks later, at home, I answered my phone without looking. Silence. Then my name. I hung up immediately. But this time, the voice sounded closer. Not outside, inside my head. And I realized with cold certainty that it wasn't following me. It was waiting for the next hesitation. Encounter 3. It waits for the pause. I worked nights as a field technician for a regional power cooperative, the kind that maintains substations scattered across rural counties. Most of my job involved routine checks, resetting breakers, verifying that automated systems were reporting correctly. I liked the solitude. Clear tasks. Clear procedures. The substation I was assigned to that winter sat at the edge of a long valley, surrounded by scrub forest and fenced off from the road by a locked gate and a gravel service drive. There were no houses nearby, no foot traffic, nothing that should have moved after dark. On my first night covering the site alone, my supervisor, Martha, walked me through the checklist. Radio check-ins every hour, she said. No exceptions. Even if nothing's wrong? I asked. Especially then, she replied. She hesitated before leaving, hand on the truck door. One more thing, she said. If you hear your name over the radio, and I didn't say it, wait before responding. How long? I asked. She thought about it. Long enough that you're sure you weren't about to answer automatically. That phrasing stayed with me. The first few shifts were uneventful. I checked transformers, logged voltages, listened to the low hum of electricity moving through equipment older than I was. The substation had a steady rhythm, a constant presence that made the silence feel intentional rather than empty. At 1:02 a.m. on the fourth night, the radio crackled. No call sign, just a brief burst of static. I waited. Nothing followed. I logged it and continued my round. At 1:11 a.m., the radio crackled again. This time, a voice spoke. You there? It sounded close. Too close for a radio transmission. I didn't respond. The voice tried again. Hey, I need you to answer. Still no call sign. Still calm. I waited. After a few seconds, the radio clicked off. My skin prickled, but I didn't feel panicked. Interference happens. Voices bleed across channels. I told myself that. The next night, the voice returned. Same time window, same channel. You're consistent, it said. That helps. I froze. That wasn't a request. It was an observation. I didn't respond. The hum of the transformers deepened slightly, or maybe my awareness sharpened enough to notice it. You don't say your name, the voice continued. Most people do. I felt the urge to speak rise instinctively, the reflex to deny, to correct. I crushed it. The radio went silent. I logged the incident with shaking hands. When I reported it to Martha the next morning, she listened carefully. Did it ask you anything specific? She asked. No, I said. It just talked. She nodded once. That's better than usual. That didn't comfort me. On the sixth night, something changed. During my 2 a.m. check-in, Martha didn't answer. I waited, tried again. Static, then a voice came through. Hers. Go ahead, it said. I'm listening. The cadence was perfect. The tone exactly right. My throat tightened. I didn't answer. I waited. The voice sighed softly. You hesitate more now, it said, still using Martha's voice. That means you're learning. I forced myself to breathe slowly. But hesitation creates openings, it continued. Little ones. We only need little ones. The radio clicked off. I stood there for a long time, staring at the darkened equipment yard beyond the fence. Nothing moved. Everything hummed. The next few nights were worse. The voice didn't speak every time. Sometimes it just breathed. Sometimes it let static linger long enough that my mind tried to fill the silence. Once, it whispered my name. Just once. Quietly. I didn't answer, but my heart pounded so hard I worried it could hear it. At 3:18 a.m. one night, a motion sensor tripped at the far end of the yard. I checked the camera feed. Nothing visible. The timestamp jumped forward by 4 minutes. I frowned, checked my watch. The time matched. I hadn't noticed the gap. That scared me more than the voice ever had. I reported it immediately. Martha's reply came slower than usual. Don't investigate the far fence alone anymore, she said. Log and wait. What's happening? I asked. A pause. It's getting closer to the work, she said. That's not ideal. On the 10th night, exhaustion caught up with me. I hadn't slept properly in days. Every sound felt sharp. Every silence felt heavy. Around 2:40 a.m., the radio came alive. My own voice spoke. "Control, this is me. Everything's normal." The pressure hit immediately, a tightness behind my eyes like someone squeezing from the inside. I clenched my fists. The voice continued, using my cadence, my pacing. "I just need you to confirm you hear me." This was different. It wasn't asking for my name. It was asking for acknowledgement. For attention, for confirmation. I shut my eyes. Didn't speak. Seconds stretched. The pressure increased, not painful but insistent, like a thought you can't shake. "You're tired," the voice said gently. "That's when people stop being careful." I thought about Martha's instruction. Long enough that you're sure you weren't about to answer automatically. I waited. The pressure eased slightly. The voice sounded disappointed. "That was close," it said. The radio went dead. The twist came the next night. I arrived to find the gate already unlocked. That never happened. I stopped, checked the log. No entry recorded. Inside the yard, the hum felt louder, fuller. The radio crackled before I even keyed it. "You're late," the voice said. I checked my watch. I wasn't. "You missed your check-in," it continued calmly. My stomach dropped. I checked the log again. A check-in was recorded, time-stamped, using my ID. I didn't remember making it. "You hesitated," the voice said. So we filled the gap. Cold settled into my chest. "You can't do that," I said before I could stop myself. The pressure surged. "We can," it replied. "That's what gaps are for." I realized then that the danger wasn't just answering. It was failing to be present. Fatigue, distraction, delay. Those were invitations too. "What happens if there are too many gaps?" I asked quietly. The voice paused. "Then we don't need permission anymore," it said. The lights flickered once. I finished my shift in a hyper-focused state, narrating every action in my head, anchoring myself to the moment. I didn't let my mind drift. I didn't let myself pause. I quit the job the next morning. Martha didn't argue. "It's been spreading toward places with constant flow," she said. "Power. Water. Roads." "Why?" I asked. "Because attention thins there," she said, "and people rely on routines instead of awareness." Weeks later, at home, I caught myself staring at my phone, thumb hovering over the screen. My name appeared in a notification. I hadn't received a message. I set the phone down without opening it. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I stood up, moved, stayed present. Because now I understood the rule completely. It doesn't need your name. It waits for the pause.